Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I got a dress yesterday. I found it on Facebook Marketplace, and I am so excited. It was like $10. Okay, so it's my happy find for the week. And it's Doctor Who. The girl lost a lot of weight, so she was getting rid of a lot of her cute things. And, you know, it's always fun to find fellow nerds and give, breathe new life into things, breathe fresh new life into things. So, of course, I haven't figured out how to hide the mic yet through this because I was rushing. But it's been a morning. It has been a morning already. So, good morning. Happy Thursday. I know I am so excited about my dress. I can't stop looking at it. I really love it. I didn't know how it would look, but I'm excited about it. So, here we are. I do have something. La la la. So, things that are none of your business. Things that are none of your business. I found this on selfcare.recipe on Instagram. So, it's an IG thing, selfcare.recipe. So, things that are none of your business. Number 1, what others think of you. We're going to just go through the list and then I will go back over them, okay? If others plan to have children, and I add it, or get married, if someone does not see your worth, what another person values, issues with you that have not been communicated, and someone else's body change. Good morning, Muddy. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. It's been a wild morning, so I appreciate the compliment. It's amazing. I'm laughing through it. But, so, I mean, nothing bad, guys, nothing bad. It's just been a wild morning. So, so much to do, so little time. But anyway, yeah, so let's get rolling. Things that are none of your business. Number 1, what others think of you. One of my favorite quotes is, what other people think of you is none of your business. Basically, the quote is right there. Okay, things that are none of your business, what other people think of you. Sammy says it's been a bit of a wild morning there as well. So, you know what? It's Thursday, I guess. I guess all the pokey things are out there going, how can we just upend people today, Oh, stop it. Just stop it. Stop it, all you negative Nellies out there, all you bad vibey things. Stop it. So anyways, deep breath. So again, what others think of you. I'm sorry. Because it's been such a wild morning, I am trying to calm my brain down and get it all together. It is, I haven't had time. It was, get a few people through their stuff this morning and then hurry up, put on makeup, get dressed, brush my teeth, brush my hair, do my hair, straighten my bangs, leave my rest of my hair curly, try to figure out what hairdo looks best with this outfit. And here we are where I can barely think. So, but you know what? This is what a dinged up mental health looks like. Sometimes we just need that moment to just calm down and breathe, right? So I'm getting there. I am getting there. All right. So I'm kind of in my calm voice right now. But yeah, Sammy says it's one of her favorite quotes too. She said she first heard RuPaul say it. I honestly don't know where it came from. It may have come from RuPaul, but I heard it from older sibling. And she says it's been one of her favorite quotes. So, older sibling and RuPaul, not quite the same age, but from, I would say, the same era of time. So, maybe they heard it when they were growing up, or maybe she heard it from him. I don't know. But anyways, like I said, it's the first time I heard it was from her. And again, the quote is, what other people think of you is none of your business. Now you may think, oh yeah, it is. Oh no, it isn't. Because there are always going to be people with opinions out there. There's always going to be people who say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, because that's what's in their mind. That's what they think. But the best way to be true to who you are, and the best way to be true to every bit of your energy, is to just be true to yourself. I mean, if you have a cause that you believe in that other people kind of like, you shouldn't post those kind of things, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't talk about that, that's their business. All right, that's not your problem. If you want to fight for something that you believe in it. And I kind of refer to the fact that people said I shouldn't have mentioned my mental health at my last job. And we talked about this yesterday. My mental health was fine. The fact that they couldn't deal with it is not my problem. It was my problem when my position got eliminated. But you know what? All it did was make me want to advocate more. And of course, having lost this part of me, it kind of sent me into this when I'm with this show. The show started out under a different name back in 2020 as just little short things. I had these affirmation cards and I thought, hey, let's do one every day. And they were really short videos and a lot of people watched it. Oh, okay. But anyways, a lot of people watched it and then it kind of grew into this, the Aloha Perspective. So, I know not a lot of people watch it right now, but I'm hoping that the people that do are the people that really need to see it. So, that's the whole point. It's not about numbers. It's not about stats. It's not about how many people watch. It's just about touching that person that needs to see whatever message is going out there at that time. And this is one of them. What other people think of you really is not your business. Because like I said, everyone's always going to have an opinion, and we can't rely on other people's opinions, negative opinions about us. I mean, if you know that you are struggling with something and somebody is trying to be helpful and point it out, don't get mad at them, because a lot of times when we knee jerk, it means that we know this is something we need to take care of. But, if you're out there and, good morning, Lori. Thank you. It's actually a dress. It's like a baby doll dress. So I am just like super happy. It's my Doctor Who. I found it on, again, for anybody that may have missed it, I found it on Facebook Marketplace for like $10. Okay. And I went and picked it up yesterday. And my cousin and I had Filipino night. We went to Jollibee. We went to an ube place. So, we indulged our Filipino last night. Half of me, all of her. So, but it was fun. But thank you guys. But again, and sending lots of love to you, Lori. I'm not sure. I'll just leave it at that because So anyways, just again, so Sammy said that the true source is unclear, but it is widely attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt. So apparently it goes way back. So, it could be something that, kids were raised with, especially back in the 60s and the 70s, because, those were a topsy-turvy time, and there were a lot of different opinions rolling around. There was a lot of different, cultural values. You had hippies, you had flower children, you had, in the late 60s, you had the LGBTQ community just really kind of powering up and saying, we're not going to take it anymore. And, and I can see why that would be something that RuPaul says a lot, because, he probably grew up in a very unaccepting time, but he's like, you know what, I'm fierce and I'm fierce and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to teach other people, especially people like me, to own it and to just, in drag or not, he's just a beautiful human inside and out. So, good on you, RuPaul, and good on you, Eleanor Roosevelt, because, a lot of people had a lot to say about Eleanor Roosevelt. She was a very strong woman and a very strong-willed woman. And, there's a few times that, she found loopholes to go around her own husband, who was the president at the time, to help people during World War II. So, she was just like, And I can really see someone like her or even RuPaul saying this quote, what other people think of you is none of your business. Because it's what's in here, in your heart, that matters. What you believe in here, what you hold dear to you, what you know is right from wrong, that's in here. That's in here. The way we care about people, the way we respect other people, the way we try to help other people, that comes from here. And, some people, it may just be their way of guilt, feeling less guilty about something they may have done, but who knows, it might change them. Sometimes people start one thing because they feel guilty about something, and then the next thing you know, it's completely changed their life. So that was number one. What others think of you is none of your business. So things that are none of your business. Number two, if others plan to have children or get married, I cannot tell you how many times that drove the shit out of me. I hated those questions. in my 30s, in my 20s, after I broke up with my last boyfriend, it's like, oh, well, are you seeing anybody new? Well, you should find somebody because, you're not getting any younger. I remember one of my aunts actually came up to me, and it's a Hanai aunt, which in Hawaii means like an adopted aunt, and said, oh, because, I have a bit, well, when I'm thinner, and you can see my figure, I have a bit of an hourglass figure. And I actually had an aunt come up to me and say, oh, you have the best birthing hips. I was like 20. It's like, seriously? I have birthing hips? And of course, my trauma brain said, oh my God, she's calling me fat. Oh my God. So again, I get it. That's the age old question. Women are born to be subservient and give birth and take care of the house. No, this is the 21st century, people. Women can do whatever the hell they want. Men can do whatever the hell they want. All right. And I mean, within the laws. All right. Within the laws, not just of nature, but within law. Don't go out there and commit any serious crimes, because that'd be bad. That'd be bad for you. But no, I mean, it can be annoying when people sit there and go, oh, so, especially, right, you get married, and the first question after you get married is someone saying, oh, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? My family finally gave up on me in my early 40s. And I think part of it is because I'm like, you know what? It's like, if I ever meet anyone, I'm not bringing him here because I don't want him to go through all your guys' questions. So, like, oh, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? It's like, do you live together? It's like, oh my God. You do not need the third degree. All right. So mind your P's and Q's. All right. We live in a different time and an era now. Some people don't want kids. Some people don't want to get married. They just want to live together. Hey, it works for Goldie and Kurt, so it can work for anybody else, right? But yeah, just if you get a wedding invitation, that answers your question. If you get a baby announcement, that answers your question. But until then, you just have to live in limbo and learn how to enjoy that. So number 3, things that are none of your business. If someone does not see your worth, that is definitely none of your business. If someone doesn't see your worth, just walk away. Walk away. If someone doesn't see your worth, that's their problem. That is not your problem. Because you should know your worth. And if your worth is tied into what somebody else thinks of you, then you need to do some healing. Okay? And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but there's definitely some healing that needs to happen. Because you should value yourself before everybody so that you can pour from a full cup. That's what self-love is. Self-love isn't about, saying, oh, I'm better than everybody else. Oh, I'm this than everybody else. I am that more than everybody else. No, it's saying, I love myself enough that when someone doesn't see my worth, I know that it's time to walk away. I know that it's time to set boundaries, or I know that it's time to sit down and have a talk and say, look, I give of myself to you. All I'm asking is for the same in return. And if you can't do that, then we need to think about where we're going. And it's not just relationships, it's friendships. It can even be familial relationships. If people do not see your worth, a lot of times it's because they can't see their own. A lot of times it's because they're already messed up going on in their brain. They got too much stuff going on in there, and they're spinning out. And so they'll take it out on you. Trauma brain can do that. Trauma brain will cause hurt people to hurt people. A lot of people hate that quote, but it is an absolute fact that hurt people hurt people. And until those hurt people learn how to heal themselves, there's not a lot the rest of us can do. It's a personal choice. No one can force you to heal. You have to make that choice yourself. And if you're going to try to heal, don't do it for anybody but yourself. Because when you find a way to heal, everybody else will benefit from it. You'll find that your moods are better. You'll find that you're a little more trusting. Yeah, you might, you might get triggered, but you'll have better tools to handle it with. So, it's just a matter of knowing your worth. And that is where self-love comes in, okay? And self-worth. So, Again, it's none of your business if someone does not see your self-worth, or does not see your worth, sorry. Number 4, things that are none of your business. What another person values. It's none of your business what another person values. If you're walking through the mall and you see someone going to the Louis Vuitton store to buy a purse, don't roll your eyes at them. If somebody has a $200,000 watch, don't roll your eyes at them. I mean, personally, my first thought when I hear that someone has a watch that expensive is like, I would be afraid to walk around with that without like 20 bodyguards around me. That's like wearing a house on your wrist, okay? That's my first thought. It's like, that's dangerous, especially nowadays in today's world, because all the bad people know what these things look like. So, and there were some robberies, like some really brazen robberies in the last couple of years in LA, where people were just like holding, families out at lunch, sitting on a patio in like Beverly Hills and taking all their fancy stuff, And also, on the flip side, don't judge a person, if you work in one of these stores. If someone comes in like a t-shirt and jeans or a t-shirt and sweats, don't be judging them, okay? Because you don't know. I told you the story about Mr. Emer, and I'll tell you again, just in case for anyone who hasn't seen it. Mr. Emer loved his dogs. I believe they were retrievers, golden retrievers. Sibling's not on, but she would have known. And Mr. Emer, he owned his own business. He, in fact, to put it into context, his next door neighbor was Steven Spielberg. Okay, like literally, because he's all, yeah, Steven lives over there, and I'm like, Steven who? He's all Steven Spielberg. I'm like, oh my God, where am I? Who are you? But yeah, he was a very, very kind man. Very, very kind man. Very nice. And really kind of rough around the edges. He's the one that I said he was raised by a single mother who was I guess a coat check or a hat check girl, but he had jokes about that, okay? And Mr. Emer could be very off color, but he was walking his dogs one day and he was just in a jogging suit. And he was walking by a Mercedes dealership, and all he wanted to do was know the price of a car. But the first thing they did was they sent the junior sales associate out to help him, because they thought, oh, this guy, he'd been walking, so he probably looks, a little not disheveled, but sweaty and stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay. But Mr. Emer, a very savvy businessman, knew what they were doing. And so he decided to teach them a lesson. But he said the kid was very nice. He said he didn't treat him any differently than he would anybody else. He was very kind and answered all his questions. And then he just pointed at 5 different cars. I'll take this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And then the guy just said, okay, well, how would you like to pay for that? And he gave him the card of the bank manager or the president of the bank where he banked. And he said, this is his number. He'll transfer the money. I'll give him a call when I get home and he'll transfer the money. But he's all, you can call him right now to know that I'm good for it. And he did, and they did. And when we went to his funeral, we saw 3 different Mercedes pictures around that same era, and we know where those came from. And we were just laughing because I told Mr. Emer, because it turns out that he was an urban legend in the email system. And he's all, I am. And I said, yeah, there's this guy who walks into a car dealership. It didn't say what. And he's all, oh, it's a Mercedes dealership. And I'm all, oh my God, it is you. So, there's stuff like that. And then there's the Sissy story, right? Sissy Joe, when we went out to buy a vacuum, and at the last minute, she's all, I'm going to get my Louis bag today. So we went into Louis Vuitton. I'm still dressed in my work clothes, so everybody wants to help me. But she is dressed in just a long t-shirt and leggings and slippers, flip-flops. And they're like, but I said, no, I'm all, she's the one. But she's the one. And it's like, if they would have paid closer attention to her wallet was a Louis Vuitton wallet. Okay, because she didn't bring her whole purse with her. She just brought the wallet. But I was just like, the first lady treated her so horribly. And so another lady came over because Sissy had questions, and she's all, can I help you? And, and she didn't ask me because I was just looking all over the place. I was still eyeballing the woman who wouldn't help her. And she says, yeah, I just had a question about these 2 because there were different patterns and stuff. And the lady gave her the whole thing. She just treated her like a human being, just respectful. And then she says, well, was anybody else helping you? And she's all, no. And the other lady just kind of looks snotty over. And then Sissy Joe says, no, really loud. Nobody was helping me, but you were. And I want to buy this bag. And she went from looking at the $2,000 bag to buying the $3,500 bag. And boy, you should have seen the look on that lady's face, because bye-bye commission. But I was just giggling. I just kind of looked at the lady and shrugged them all. It was like it was a Pretty Woman moment, from the movie. But this is why we don't, we don't question other people. And I know it says what another person values, and I know I'm going more into the materialistic things, but there are other things that people value. Right now, the values in this country are divided. Okay. And then in the division on one side, it's even more divided. So there's a party that's divided, and then there's a country that's divided. And it's very difficult to deal with, because people think one way, people think another way, and nobody wants to meet in the middle. Everybody just wants to really kind of buckle down. And then you have all the people meeting in the middle that are just saying, how do we fix this? How do we save this? How do we go forward, in love? And I know that people will sit there and go, peace and love don't exist. Peace and love can't exist. But we have to believe in it first. So anyways, it's none of your business what another person values. If it bothers you, walk away. Sammy and I talked about this yesterday. I think, Sammy, you shared it on the show about a friend that you used to have. And, their values differed. And unfortunately, it was somebody that she had to walk away from. I think I read it on the comments, so I'm sorry if I didn't, but and for sharing that. But yeah, so, and there have been people, there have been people who felt like our values don't match anymore, and they walked away. And sometimes we don't know why people walk away. Sometimes we're just dumbfounded. But, we can't change what other people think. And we can just hope that things work out later down the road and in the end. But if they don't, then, it's a lesson learned. You move forward, you pull up your big girl pants or your big boy pants, and you just keep moving forward. All right. So number 5, things that are none of your business. 5, issues with you that have not been communicated. I kind of just covered that, didn't I? Yeah, and Sammy says, and we have to practice peace and love ourselves so it radiates to others. You are remembering correctly. I did mention on the show that I lost a friend over differing values. Okay, so good. Thank you. Okay. But it's like, oh my God, I didn't just break a confidence, did I? Good Lord. But yeah, so, and they did, because we were talking about trigger alert, suicide versus suicidal yesterday. And that was a very important subject for me. Even my cousin's, oh my God, that coffee looks so good. And I'm like, I had to have coffee before that show. And I mean, actual coffee, not decaf that I have at home. But I was like, no, I need something stronger, just regular coffee. Coffee with a chocolate cold cream brew. But, my addiction. But literally, my addiction. But yeah, if somebody has issues with you and they don't communicate it to you, that is not your problem. And this happened to me recently, and I did everything in my power to save this friendship. Everything in my power to save this friendship, because we had severe differing opinions on some pretty big things. And this is a person that was consistently confronting me, especially I had a safe space and a safe place on social media where I just kind of shared my views on certain things. And this person kept invading that and saying, well, this is also my personal space, and this is my private space, and this is where I go. But for some reason, this person felt like it was okay to continually engage me in this area. But as things have progressed in the last 6 months, I've been posting from Instagram, from things that I've seen, onto my stories. And I think they thought it was about them, which it absolutely was not. That's just me. I haven't seen anything they posted since last August, except for something older sibling asked me to look at, to make sure that it wasn't too combative or whatever, and I liked it. And maybe, I guess they took that the wrong way. I didn't say anything. All I did was like 2 comments. And next thing I know, I'm blocked. Now, this was a friendship I tried to save. This is a person who constantly dragged my good name through the mud. And by that I mean saying some pretty horrible things to me. And I'm not innocent because I did engage. I did try to make my point, but I ran over this with older sibling, I ran over this with baby sibling, I ran over this with my cousin, and I asked them, I said, look, I need you to be objective. I need you to be unbiased. Am I wrong? And I got 3 absolutes. No, you're not wrong. This person needs to stop. And I kept telling them we need to stop because I don't want it to ruin our friendship. I want to keep our friendship intact. Did not work. So sibling and I talked about it last week because I realized that it affected me a lot more than it did. I actually think that's what caused me to spiral again, because you start second guessing yourself. You start wondering, this is someone I've known for over 20 years. And to just lose that over something so inane was just, but they wouldn't communicate it to me. They wouldn't talk to me. So, that was my situation. But if somebody doesn't communicate to you what their issue with you is, that is not your problem. That is theirs. And the reason they say it's none of your business is because you shouldn't have to worry about what somebody else is thinking because they're not telling you. If you have tried to say, hey, what's going on? Do you, and I have literally said to people, do you have a problem with me? Is there something that I can do? What is it? Because there have been times when I have been the culprit and they're just like, well, and it's the same with, when I was talking about a former coworker of mine, who's actually still a really good friend of mine, but a former coworker of mine who she just, when there would be things going on in her life, she would take it out on me. And then she couldn't understand why I was getting mad until finally I just told her. I just came right out and said, look, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm not. And I told her everything, but she didn't know because I didn't say anything. I didn't communicate it. And unfortunately, I got to the point where I just kind of exploded. And we didn't talk to each other for a few days because I didn't handle it well. Because I should have just said, look, you know what? Can we sit down and talk? But I wasn't in a good place then either. I was still on my healing journey, still very early in my healing journey. So, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. All of us are going to make mistakes. We're not perfect. But if we don't communicate with people, if we don't talk to one another, if we don't share what's on our brain and say, hey, you know what? We need to sit down and talk. No one's going to know. No one's going to know. Sometimes there's passive aggressive behavior. Sometimes there's, just blatant outright behavior. And sometimes people won't say anything at all. Or sometimes people will just block you on social media. And here's the thing. There's nothing I can do about that. Does it hurt? Sammy says, not me. I never make mistakes. Yeah, that's secretly me. When I turn off this camera, I'm the most perfect person in the world. No, I'm not. It's so funny. Thank you for making me giggle. I think I was starting to go down the wrong rabbit hole there, but there's nothing I can do about what happened with this friend of mine. And does it make me sad? Absolutely, 100%. It really does break my heart. It breaks my heart. Sammy says mission accomplished. I laughed. I did, and I needed that because it really hurt me. And I was just kind of like that. I was that. I just lost of words. I had no words. And I don't know. I got to move on. But yeah. So again, things that are none of your business, issues with you that have not been communicated. If someone's not going to communicate with you, that's not your problem. And if they try to be all blah, blah, blah with you, just say, look, if you got a problem with me, tell me. Okay. And you could probably say it nicer than that. Say, look, if you have an issue with me, please tell me. Let's sit down and talk about it. And sometimes they realize that it's them. They're just having a hard moment. They're struggling with something. And I think that's why it hurts too, because I'll be honest with you, I really do think that, the person I'm referring to is struggling with something else. And I think I'm the one getting the brunt of it. And if that's what makes them feel better, if that's what helps them sleep at night, then okay, happy to help. So the last one, this is a bit of a tough one. Okay. So things that are none of your business, someone else's body change. And the reason the reason I make that face, and the reason I say this is hard is, as an example, the girl I bought this dress from yesterday, right? She lost a lot of weight, and all I said was, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So she's selling a lot of her stuff. Oh, sibling says that they won't talk to her either. Well, you know what? That's their loss. That's their loss. Sibling and I have each other. And older sibling and I have each other. And we got all our other people. We got all our other friends, That's water under the bridge, right? And it's sad, yes, but that's their problem. That's their problem. And I've given it far too much energy. I've given it far too much power. And as older sibling would tell me, take my power back. So sibling, let's take our power back. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. As they say, whatever. So I'm making myself laugh. But yeah. Oh, just speaking of making laugh, I'm sidebarring for a moment. I can't remember what I was watching last night, but I remembered a joke that I made up. And I was thinking about one of our baseball announcers, and he's just kind of like, is it wrong that I laugh at my own jokes? And I literally said to the TV, no, because I do it all the time. I do. I make myself laugh. But anyways, I'm a one person, one audience member comedian. But anyways, so the last one, someone else's body change. The reason I say this is difficult is when people lose weight, a lot of times they want people to notice, but sometimes it can feel like it comes out wrong. Or if you haven't seen someone in a long time, it's like, wow, you look amazing. Now, the reason I say this is a tough one is because when people, whether, and it can go in two directions, okay? Because you have people who are anorexic and bulimic who just get, their eating disorder is so awful and bad that they're like skin and bones, right? And so when they start to heal and they start to get healthy, people say, oh, you look great, you look amazing. But a lot of times that can trigger them. And that's the same for a plus size person. Maybe they, like me, I'm an emotional eater, and over the course of years, and then the last 10 years with, so much happening, I just, now I'm on a weight loss journey, but I never know how to feel, because it's like, you know what? I found who I was as a plus size girl. I fell in love with myself as a plus size girl, not necessarily the plus size, but I had no other choice but to learn how to love myself, because I hated myself so much. Until one day when I was doing my shadow work and I realized I didn't just hate myself as a plus size person, I hated myself as a skinny girl too. I just hated me. I hated the very essence of me because of the trauma brain. Because of all the things that were just so skewed and miswired in my brain about who I was and what love meant and what, intimacy meant and all this other stuff. And then, you shame yourself and you push these things aside, and they start to build something completely different, to the point where you're so messed up in your head, you can't see straight. And when I did all this healing, I was in a place where I was a plus size girl. But at the same time, I know I am losing weight, and I know it's no longer because of a vanity thing. Okay, I'll give you that. 15% of it is probably vanity, because I love the fact that this dress is a size smaller and I fit in it. But there was a time when I would see the weight that I'm at now, having lost so much weight already, and been like, oh, you still have so much farther to go. Now I look at it like, wow, look at me. I'm doing it, but I'm also keeping it off. And that's the difference, because I have gotten out of my head. Sometimes I get back in my head, but the minute I get in my head about my weight, I'm like, no, you know what? You're doing a great job. You are you. Right now, you are exactly who you are and who you need to be. And who you are tomorrow, maybe a pound lighter or whatever, or next week 5 pounds lighter, whatever, you're still you inside. That's what healing's all about. That's what not listening to all the outside chatter is all about. Don't worry about what other people think. You know, I mean, that's another thing where it says, if others plan to have children or get married, oh, you need to lose weight. That's always been my favorite. Or you need to gain, when I was skinny, you need to gain weight. And then I thought I was fat because somebody said, oh, look, you got some meat on your bones. I had gained 5 pounds. I was still under 130 pounds. I was like 120 pounds. And I thought I was fat. And you got to remember, my bone structure is built for someone who's 5'8", not 5'4", because I stopped growing because I had a teeny spine curve. So, it's such a hard fine line to walk because you don't know how someone's going to react, and I'll share something else, and I won't name names because this is just something I saw on Facebook a while ago from someone else who has been on a weight loss journey. But Sammy says, exactly. And sometimes telling someone how great they look after they lose weight implies they didn't look good when they were heavier. It shouldn't be about the physical in the first place. Oh, like you just said, you are you regardless. Oh, thank you, Sammy. She said exactly what I was trying to get out of my face and could not. My mouth was just not going in that direction. But yeah, exactly that. But here's the thing. For all the people who have lost weight and maybe have had someone say this to them, I don't think they're implying that you didn't look good before. Because if someone says, oh, you look beautiful in that dress, or, oh gosh, look at you today. It's like me saying when, two people today said, wow, I love that outfit, or look, you look beautiful today. That's not implying that I don't on other days. What they're just saying is, wow, your look today is really hitting me. It's hitting me differently than the other days. But I mean, my makeup's basically the same. The only thing that's different is my hair, because I'm gonna sidebar here for a second. I literally looked up hairdos that go good with Peter Pan collars that have curly hair. And it says, well, you can put your hair up or you can leave it down to frame your face and frame the collar. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll go halfway. I'll put half my hair up. And this is what we've got. Ta-da! So, but it doesn't imply. It just means that, wow, I like what you're wearing today. And it doesn't mean that you're not putting an effort. I mean, the last couple of days, it's like, I mean, I don't have a lot here. All my clothes are at home. So I'm living out of a suitcase still. And I have some of my other clothes, but I mean, there's really no variety. So I think that's why I'm a little more lit up today, because this is something new that I get to wear, to show off. So, but yeah, so like I said, someone else's body change, that's such a fine line. It really is a fine line. Oh, thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Muddy. She says the dress is the coolest and flattering. Thank you. I know it really kind of does. It does a lot for my boobs. Yes, I said that because I don't care. It does a lot for my boobs. But if older siblings still watching, she's probably like, really, did she just do that? But these are faux buttons. But you know what? I actually bought this for Comic-Con. So I'm gonna make it an entire Doctor Who weekend, so I don't have to think about what I'm gonna wear. I have my other Doctor Who dress. I have a couple of Doctor Who shirts. Maybe I'll throw in something different. I have a blue dress that looks, if I get a belt, maybe I can make it look like the TARDIS. I don't know, put a light bulb on my head or something. I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, I want to be comfortable because that's the time of year in San Diego when the ocean front gets a little bit more humid. So, well, I know, not Sammy humid, but Shelly humid, which is humid enough for me. But I digress. Going back to someone else's body change. I had a friend on social media that posted, about how it's hard when, they were on a health journey as well. But then they started getting compliments and everything. And, people saying, wow, you look great. Cause you post on social media, and here's the thing, not everybody sees you. Or a lot of times we post on social media and we post from here up, right? We don't have the full body. And so it's kind of like, oh, and so sometimes people are shocked. When my mom passed away, I was actually in a weight loss program. And it just happened to coincide with when my mom was sick. So I had lost a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And the day after her funeral, my cousins and I had gone out to just kind of decompress and, they wanted to get me out of the house too. And so baby sibling and I took a picture, and it's actually one of my favorite pictures, but somebody actually said to me, oh, you know, Shellbell, you've got to eat. You've got to eat. You look, you know, she's all, you, and they're all, and they said though, at the beginning, I'm not trying to, you know, to hurt, to be upsetting or anything, but I'm just worried about you because, you know, you look like you've lost a lot of weight. And I had, but the thing is, I didn't tell anybody I was on this weight loss journey. I kept it to myself because I didn't want, you know, the outside feedback. Oh, try this, try this, try this. Oh, this works for me. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. And a lot of these people, everything was a lifestyle change. Well, I'm not good at lifestyle changes. So I know that what I need to do is work within my parameters and adjust that way. So my journey now has been slow, but it's been consistent and it's been permanent. So, oh, thank you both. Smutty and Sibling both like my hair this way. Thank you. Yeah, I just kind of said, ooh, I'm running late. I got to put my hair back. And I did. So, you know, and I did. I actually, okay, so I fixed my hair around my bangs because I straightened my bangs because, you know, I straightened my bangs. And then, yeah, I just kind of situated my hair around him so I could show off the straight girls. While the baby snakes just sit there and go, thank God we didn't have the flat iron on us today. So anyways, like I said, body, you know, someone else's body change, it really is such a touchy subject and it can be difficult. But you know what? So like I said, if somebody says, oh, you look amazing, you look great, just do your best to not take it personally, okay? Because try to factor in the fact that these people may not have seen you in a while. They may not realize you're on a health journey, whether it's to gain weight or lose weight. You know, when people go to the gym, a lot of times they just need those compliments because they need to feel good about themselves, you know, and that's why I think a lot of them do it. I think a lot of people that, you know, there's so many people out there who have, I would say, just mild body dysmorphia because they're not sure about themselves, or maybe they've been unsure about themselves for a long time. You know, I've had people make some pretty off-color comments about my weight, and it's just kind of like, you know what? As they say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. So my worst, whatever that is, it used to be, you know, I would say that going, yeah, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. But then I thought, hey, wait a minute. I'm putting myself down there. You know, I mean, yeah, if I could just rip off all the weight I have that, you know, so I can make sure my heart beats for a very, very long time, I would. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So I'm doing the way it works for me. And is it slow? Hell yeah, it's slow. But it's working. And it's staying off. And that is what's important to me. And I'll get where I'm meant to go when I get where I'm meant to go. And until I get there, that's how it is. And if people don't like that, they can walk in the other direction. Because I need to do what's best for me so that I can pour from a full cup. So that I'm not second guessing myself. I will tell you, there's one thing I'm tired about from myself coming on this show is sitting here telling people, hey, this is what, you know, will work. This is what, you know, I've done. And then I turn around and do all the other things because I might have a bad day. And then I shame myself about it because you know, it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm having a crisis, a mental crisis right now because I'm sitting here, you know, preaching to the masses and then I'm not doing what I'm preaching about. I'm falling back into old patterns until I realize that this is what happens. We sometimes fall into old patterns and that's how we break them, because the minute we realize it's an old pattern that isn't working, that's how we break that cycle. And while I'm talking to you right now, I am literally empowering myself because I'm hearing what I'm saying now. I'm hearing, hey, you know, when I'm talking, things just kind of float out of my mouth, you know, and I know that a lot of times when it's something that I'm talking about myself, it's probably something subconscious. So I sit here thinking, well, how's a man going to ever love me at this weight? And it's like, you know what? I don't care. Okay? I don't care. Because this is me right now. This is what you get. And am I losing weight? Yes. Am I losing weight for anybody else? No. Am I losing weight so someone will fall in love with me? No. I used to be, because I thought that's what the opposite sex would want. But now I'm doing it for me because I want to live for a very long time. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to bend over and tie my shoes without feeling like I got to hold my breath or feeling my heart pounding out of my chest. I want to be able to walk places without feeling like I need to rest for a few moments. This is for me. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's the finish line I needed to jump over. And it's not being narcissistic. It's not being, conceited. No, this is my health journey. And do I want someone to do I want to find my soulmate? Of course. But right now, I can't worry about whether or not this is good enough for them, whoever they might be. And if they're out there, baby sibling says, the person that's out there that's meant for you is not going to care. They're not going to care. They'll probably even help you on your journey. They'll become a part of your journey. But she's you just have to learn to open your heart. And I think that's why my heart was closed. I do. I think that's why my heart was closed, because I've been trying to become somebody that I think somebody else would want. So in a way, things that are none of your business, someone else's body change, it's almost like I forgot it was my business. I need to practice self-love. I can't sit here and preach self-worth and self-love if I don't practice it myself. And I need to. And so you girls, thank you for the compliments today, because I really think that's what made my brain jog. And it's weird because I just kind of feel a little bit more energetic today. So maybe that was the other thing, constantly second guessing ourselves and, constantly putting ourselves down and trying to fit into somebody else's, notion of who we should be. Just do what brings you joy. Do what makes you happy. Because it's like what Sammy says, when we're happy, and what did she say it? Just, be who you are. You are who you are regardless. You are you regardless. That's exactly what she said. You are you regardless. And as long as you love you, that's what matters. As long as you have that self-love and you're able to radiate that out. Like Sammy said earlier too, about the peace and the love. We have to feel it in our heart so that we can radiate it out. And a lot of that starts with self-love. If we don't love who we are, there are people who would say, oh, well, that's narcissistic thinking. No, narcissistic thinking is someone going out there and looking in the mirror and going, yeah, I'm the hottest person on the planet. No one can touch me, blah, blah, blah. And then going out and saying, you know what? You only wish you looked as good as me. That's sort of a narcissistic personality. All right. Now, that is a fine line I don't want to touch. But self-love is not. Self-love is a desired trait. Self-love is you saying, you know what, I really want to feel good about myself today. Or you saying, you know what, I am just as good as everybody else out there in the world. As Mom Barbara said to me once, you are no better than anyone else, and no one is better than you. We're all the same. No matter what someone's stature is, no matter where they are in life and where you are in life, you are equal to everybody else. Everybody is here to serve their own purpose. And that's what we have to remember. Are there things we might be better at than other people? Sure. Are there things that other people might be better at than us? Absolutely. And that's okay. And if there's something you want to get good at it. Like I said, I got an A for effort in art. Because my teacher said, you know what, no matter how hard the assignment was, you always put your best effort in. Even when I told him, it's like I had to draw a picture and I could not do the eyes. For some reason, eyes just do not work for me. So I had my friend do it. And I said, you might want to mark me down a couple of points because so-and-so did the eyes for me. He's all, no. You did everything else. And he's all, you didn't have to tell me that because I would have never known. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not good at lying. So... Or, I'm not good at admitting the truth because I wanted to get the grade I deserved. But he says, you had the foresight to know your limitations on what you can and can't do and ask someone for help. I was like, oh, okay. So it worked out. But yeah, and I mean, I didn't get straight A's in that class, but I always got an A, just a straight A, no A plus, no A minus, just in that class, because he says you always try. I wasn't good at it, but boy, I love it. I love it. I'm not good at art, but I love it. And I think that's why I like going to museums and looking at art, because I'm not good at it. But we talked about this the other day, right, with Jackson Pollock and his just splatter. So, just, you never know. Do what brings you joy. I mean, don't just throw paint on something and say, oh, it's art. No, I mean, these are people who, it's probably an extension of their thoughts and their process and their brain, and going, wow, I really like this. And it's like a writer. Writers paint with words, and they put things together. Photographers paint with their lens, with the eye. I was told by a professional photographer, I have the eye. And strangely enough, it's the doors. It's the doors and gates that I love to take the most pictures of. Like, not the doors, just doors. So, but, really cool looking doors. But it's just, I see a history in them. When I take a picture of a doorknob, I see the hands that may have touched it over the decades and the years, and maybe even the centuries, depending on where I'm at. And it's just that's where I take my pictures from. I take them from here, because it's just, I see something. I don't know what I see, but that's what older sibling's father said. He's all, that's how photographers see. They see beyond the picture. So anyways, we moved far away from what our subject matter was, but I think I needed to say those things, because I think personally I needed to hear it, and I know if I needed to hear it, somebody else needed to hear it. So whoever you are out there that maybe really resonated with my message, maybe it brought you to tears. I don't know if it did or not. I'm just saying, because it's making me feel pretty emotional. Just love yourself, because you're worth it. To everybody out there that may not have needed that message, just love yourself, because you are worth it. To my girls on here, Muddy and older sibling, you're worth it. You're beautiful human beings. And, we just have to remember that. So as Muddy said, we can radiate that peace and love. The more love and peace we put into this world, the more we'll probably be able to balance it out. And does it feel like it's a dream? Yeah. Does it feel a little bit, like a pacifism thing? In a way, yes. But here's the thing. We're not ignorant of the fact that this will never be a perfect world. We can hope for it. We can dream about it. We can wish for it. But the way to unify is for people to see one another, to stop looking at things through the eyes of, people that want the power, but to love one another, to see our neighbors. Think about the stories, right? The Hatfields and the McCoys. What were they fighting over? Nobody even knows what they were fighting over, because it was probably something so stupid. Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare, right? Two warring families, and the kids fall in love, and look what happens. But they looked past everything, and they fell in love. And there's a million other stories like this, through ages, real stories too, where it's like people are like, I don't care. Look at the 60s, where, a white person could not marry an African American. And yes, that was a thing in this country. They could not. And you're just kind of like, well, not in the whole country, but certain parts of the country, they could not. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. You had different colored water fountains. It's like, why? In the inside, we all look the same. We're all skeletons on the inside. And guess what? The skeletons are all the same colors. The heart beats the same. The blood looks the same. We unify by peace and love. We unify by sometimes minding our own business on things that aren't our business. So, like I said, I don't know why that person blocked me. I'm sure I know why, but they probably took something personally that wasn't even aimed at them, and that's not my problem anymore. Do I want to care about it? Absolutely. Can I? No, I cannot anymore, because it really did a number on my mental health the last couple of weeks. And I can't anymore. I have to remind myself where to put my energy. I have to remind myself And we all do. We have to remind ourselves where we want to put our energy, where we want to focus our peace and our love. There's gratitude, there's prayer, there's manifesting, there's all kinds of things that we can do. But we just have to believe in it. We have to trust it. And it may not happen like that, but it will happen if you believe in it and you put the right energy towards it. There's so much anger and hate right now that the universe is just responding with it. It's responding with more things to be angry and hateful about. So maybe we need to flip the switch and try to put out the love, put out this fire with love and peace. And like I said, none of us are dumb enough to think that this is ever going to be a perfect world. But if we can at least try to reunify some people, then it's a good start. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Put your good focus energy out there, and let's hope for the best for all these places that are just not doing well in this world, and all the poor people. I don't mean poor people. I mean like just the unfortunate people who are going through a lot right now, especially in some war-torn countries, and the aid that's being blocked to certain groups of people. And I don't want to get political, so I'm not saying who, but if you know, you know. And it's just, that's a tragedy. Sibling and I talk about that a lot, how it's not right. It's not fair. These people, they have basic human needs that are not being met, and it's not right. So anyways, I'm off my soapbox now, now that we've veered far away from our subject matter, but it's like I say at the beginning, a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. So I will see everybody back here Monday. I am taking tomorrow off again. I'll see everybody back here Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly and Marie Lucas. You can follow me on all the social medias. Usually you can find me, if you can't find me under my name, you will probably find me under Shelly Marie. All right, and Shelly Marie, SHELLYMARIE, one word, little m. Get it right or my mom will come haunt you. And no, that's not a threat. That is, I feel her sometimes when I just write Shelly. So, oh, thank you, Muddy. She said she loved this one today. All the love to you too, girl. And I hope you have a great day. Older sibling, have a great day. I don't know if you're still watching, but have good PT today. And yeah, I'll talk to everybody on Monday. Have a wonderful and safe weekend, everybody.